Sideline of goal! Lakewood are doing it! They're gonna take! He's gonna bring down Burning. Alone with a double kill. Dropping fast. Monopoint's there. He's still alive! Wait for a second slide. He's going one side. He's going a second. He's taking it back. Oh my God! On three! They're all dead!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the final match of the night for the Summit to America by G2A.com. We've got Navi US. Their gauntlet continues. They've went 2-0 so far, now in great shape. Their opening day in the group stage. We'll see if they can make it 3-0. Here they'll be facing off against Team Swag, a.k.a. Turn My Swag On. Oh, it should be a good one. I'm Zyori. I'll be joined once again by Blaze. Blaze, my friend, good sir. How are you, Belle?
Doing pretty good. I'm actually pretty interested in this roster here. I haven't seen the team perform together, Turn My Swag On that is, but looking at it, these are players from a lot of teams we've seen very recently. FRL and I Annihilate were playing for Shadows of the Past. Bloody Nine was playing for Dream Destroyers. Relic and Sleazel have definitely been around the block. We've seen plenty from them in the past, and yeah, even some famed 1v1 matchups. But yeah, it's still very, very interesting to see all these collaborating, and I'm curious to see how well the coordination is at this early stage in this new roster. But yeah, going up against Navi US, I guess a easier feat considering the two stand-ins, but still a difficult one considering how well they played last game. Fogged especially really on point with his Earthshaker play. Curious if he'll pick up the Sky or the Sand King this time around. Last time it was Sand King playing the Sand King, so I figured Fog would be running the Sky Wrath, assuming it is a support.
I think this was actually in the first game Navi US played that Cattle Guy and Mott were casting. They had these exact three heroes. It was Sand King on Sand King, Fog was on Sky Wrath, and Grant took Tidehunter to the off lane. So they're sticking with what they know here and not going to venture too far out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about right now is the fact that they don't have any magic immunity piercing disables, which means Enigma, once he gets a BKB, will automatically get a free black hole. So they're looking for somebody that will be able to interrupt that in some capacity through physical. Obviously, the Nether Swap is usually your go-to to interrupt black holes, but since the support roles are picked up, maybe you could think of something like a Juggernaut for your carry. I don't know. Like, they definitely need to keep in mind that Enigma should not be able to get free black holes this game.
Yeah. Let's see here. They'll need a mid and they'll need a carry. I'm trying to think of good options that cut through the magic immunity of Enigma.
Silencer's pretty good.
Yeah? Oh, you just like Silencer in general, Blaze. I think you're a little biased. You're always suggesting Silencer.
Awesome. Like, there's no lineup where he's bad. There's sometimes where he can be shut down pretty hard, but especially against all these cast-oriented heroes, bring him on.
No, I agree. I think Silencer could definitely be pretty solid here. Is that a hero that Navi US have run a whole lot, though? I don't really recall them giving much love to the Silencer.
Not that I know of. We see a lot more like around the CAS region, kind of those Western teams, and then I think I've seen a couple of Eastern teams run it, but generally speaking, it has stayed away from Dota for quite a bit. I've seen them a lot more in like Captain's Draft games, like Captain's Mode games, but in this situation, I think it really is a good option. I mean, I still like the idea of Juggernaut, but I think the Silencer is a better all-around hero that you don't have to feel as gimmicky picking up.
Yeah, the other options that kind of come to mind just don't work into the draft that Navi have started for themselves. Lich is a good example, but
it's banned out, actually.
Oh, yeah, well, would you look at that? Well, there you go. Clockwork's the other one that comes to mind, but I don't know that they'll want to run like a mid-Clockwork or something. That's a little funky. Turn On My Swag. They grab the Bane. Just a good all-around support. Get a little bit of lockdown, some setup perhaps.
Yeah, I think there's a good potential there. It just means there's more emphasis on actually getting those interrupt effects. I could see a mid-Rubik being possible if they wanted to try to put a lot of eggs in that basket there. It's very uncommon with his base movement speed nerf, but I still think that there's actually some validity in the hero. Getting some early CS in a single lane, and Aghanim Scepter. It's actually a pretty good item now, as it's been buffed a couple of times over for Rubik. So, I don't know. I like the idea, but yeah, we're probably looking at something more traditional. I could see a Slark working pretty well with the amount of dispels that he has against the Enigma and Bane disables. But yeah, we'll see what they want to go with. They're still dealing with a lot of hard lockdown, and they need somebody that can maneuver in spite of that.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, both teams breaking into that reserve time in this third, fourth picking couplet. Navi US just needs a couple of cores here. We've seen some Ember Spirit action, which they could consider once more, a hero that Korok likes quite a bit. They've already got a lot of magical damage in the Sand King and the Skywrath. This is where I think they need to diversify a little bit. I know Korok loves heroes like Queen of Pain, but there you go. There's one, the Invoker, and well, not going to do so much in the physical department, but we'll have plenty of magic damage to put out. We'll probably be Exort and adding a little pushing power to the lineup here.
Yeah, I think they're really just going to try to steamroll with kills and try to avoid Enigma or Bane getting to that BKB stage. A Burrow Strike should guarantee Sunstrikes under almost all circumstances. So with Skywrath with Mage's damage follow-up, they'll go Boots first on the Sand King here, and they should have just kills rolling all over the place. Anybody overextended, anybody hit by a Burrow Strike, an Invoker should be able to add to create that a kill.
Yeah, so turn on my swag. What are they looking at here? They'll need an offlaner and their safe lane farmer. So they have a lot of options. They just have this really well-rounded draft so far, but some AoE damage to dump into the black hole wouldn't be too bad, though we've seen more often than not with Enigma picks, especially in this meta. The threat of the black hole is just not as powerful, if not more powerful, than the black hole itself. So you've got your mech carrier and that jungling Enigma, and they go with the Faceless Void. Okay, so double big ulti, but where's the damage coming from?
Yeah, exactly. Like, they can Midnight Pulse inside, and that's pretty cool.
That's cool, but not really. Whoa, watch out! I mean, the damage hurts a bit, but
wait for the Faceless Void Refresher Rush, man. 2 Chronospheres, all the Midnight Pulse you can handle.
Oh wow, that's you're giving me nightmares here, here, Blaze. Oh.
Wait till Bane gets his axe for that one, but
oh, look at you,
I'm on fire now.
Jokester with the dad jokes.
But yeah, in this case, we do need more damage in the Chronosphere in general. Like, the Enigma's fine. Maybe they could go Ancient Apparition follow up. He's decent enough with the Bane. I'm trying to think of other options here, but I mean, Enigma generally wants a jungle support. Like, you can definitely lane him, but in a solo environment, I don't think that he's going to be as confident in that setting. If they can try to hold their own side of the map and make sure that at least he gets 3 camps to rotate between, he should be more comfortable in the jungle to start off.
Yeah, and Navi US may make his life difficult by an early invade, dropping down some wards. They so far have a pretty decent level 1 lineup.
I mean, the Tide and the Sand King and the Skywrath are really good, but Tide and Invoker, in my opinion, are quite lackluster. If you can get one more good fighting early hero, then Terminus Wagon should be able to hold it. But
the Tide is okay. You don't really want to have to skill Gush level 1, but if it sets up a First Blood, that's where Tide can be okay in those early skirmishes. Invoker, you're right. He's just sitting there throwing auto attacks, but still better than. I guess you can swap out the Enigma for the Invoker. They kind of cancel each other out and awful in the 1v1 skirmishes.
Fair enough. PA gonna be banned out. Yeah, I think that would have been a good pickup for both sides. So if they wanted to go a little greedy and put Void in the offlane and get another carry hero, then PA would have been really good on their side. Once she got a little bit of durability. Starting off, she's obviously way too squishy, but if they put her in a defensive 2.5 lane, then maybe they could have managed it if Navi US didn't roam too hard. But here we see it's going to be banned out so that Navi US can't pick it up, and in turn the Mirana, a great defensive hero that might just be able to dodge that Sunstrike after the Burrow Strike, might be able to leap away.
Yeah, and just that classic pairing, Bane, Mirana. They'll try to get that out of the pool. But here in Navi US, you were talking about just trying to steamroll their way to victory before the BKB on Enigma really becomes a big deal. And Dragon Knight fits well into that lineup. Some great pushing power, a lot of physical damage, and a good early skirmisher. But also a good call on the Ancient Apparition. But now these lanes, I guess that means it'll be probably a Brewmaster headed to the off lane. But it does make things a little... Well, all right, so who's going to be off lane here? Is it just the two
It's complicated. I could see them running in multiple different ways. I could honestly see Relic and F4L taking Void, Ancient Apparition to the mid lane there. Like, that's decent enough against the Dragon Knight, and it will keep Skywrath and Sand King's attention there.
Okay.
But,
so then just they could offlane the Enigma. That's the option.
Yeah.
That seems most obvious.
So there's a number of ways they can do it. Dual lane mid, off lane Enigma. In either case, they are definitely wanting to actually get this Enigma out and farming. So we'll see exactly what they have in store. But I think that, yeah, Bloody Knight is going to be taking up a solo lane, and we'll just see if it's going to be the bottom one.
Yep, and it will be a 5-hero kind of invade down into the Radiant jungle.
Octopus hat or not, it's not even, it's not a squid hat, it's an octopus hat. And he's running the pirate flag here. He doesn't even have squiddles. You don't have squiddles, you don't get to brag about your cosmetics.
So yeah, he's a pirate with an octopus hat. I'm not sure how I feel about that, getting that little Davy Jones thing going on. But yeah, I am partial to the squiddles myself. The pirate flag, it's okay. It's the cheap alternative. You know, if you're one of those guys that likes to buy suits at J.C. Penney's, then the pirate flag is for you. But you know, if you're heading over to the men's warehouse, that's where the squiddles is really really coming online. But we'll see Swag move into the Radiant jungle, and they're ready to invade. They don't have... there we go. They put a ward down now. We'll block the pole camp. Does get pinged out by Fogged, so they have a general idea of what's going on here, and dropping those wards in vision of the enemy is never ideal. They should be able to deal with it appropriately. That'll be the end of it. Just one sentry ward coming down, just shy of the magic bush, and we'll block the pole camp.
Yeah. One thing I'm worried about here is the Sand King actually doesn't have any clarity. So right here, Sand King is starting off with just a 1 mana pool. He should have 2 Burrow Strikes, and the Skywrath does have a clarity, but this is not exactly how you want it to start. Obviously, they want the Invoker to get mostly solo experience on the bottom lane, so they want to roam actively, and with that, you can run out of juice very quickly without starting off with any of the mana potions.
So let's quickly go over some rosters here, see how these lanes will settle down. It'll be Navi US on the Radiant side, Snake King down bottom on the Invoker, solo safe lane farming. Stan King finds an invisibility rune, level 1, and Relic. Oh, poor Relic. He could find himself in a sticky wicket if he's not careful. Lots of supports missing off the map, so he'll position himself pretty well, but now takes the stun. Korok coming in, levels up the Dragon Tail, finds it. Fogged with the follow-up damage. This will be your first blood. It's Korok that grabs it, gets the bonus gold. He'll be the one on the Dragon Knight. Takes a lot of return damage, but that'll be his bottle coming out nice and quick. We'll be able to chew through some of those pooled tangos. It is Stan King on the Sand King, and Fogged will be on the Skywrath Mage, leaving Grand Grant off lane on the Tide Hunter once more.
Korok actually is just stuck around. I think he wants to go, like, I mean, I don't want to say he wants to go all the way back to base, having just picked up his bottle, but those the tango cooldown is 60 seconds here, so if he was staying in lane, I figure he would have gone earlier, but just tries to take advantage of the fact that he gets a moment's reprieve as far as CS goes before Relic bounces back, and yeah, gets a little bit more out of his absence than just the first blood itself. But you see Sleevo zoning off Grand Grant. He's going to have to be just stacking up his Ancients for the most part here. Actually, he's going to go toe-to-toe with Sleezel for a moment, but honestly, Bane is a tankier hero. Even though he's short range, he has 4 armor, he has the ability to brain sap later, and yeah, he is a hard one to actually trade efficiently with.
Yeah.
So Grand Grant really should be stacking Ancients right now. I don't know why he's going back to the lane. Like, he's getting 0 experience right now.
Yeah, and especially if you don't go for that Kraken Shell, or you don't have a point in Kraken Shell, you don't really want to go blow for blow with the Bane. He has a lot of very high starting strength relative to a lot of heroes. He will camp out the top rune, and Bane will find himself a double damage. Little blueberry. That'll fill up the belly. And it'll be Korok down bottom. He fills up his bottle with the old bouncy rune, gets a little bit of extra experience and gold there. Just for the sake of continuity, Dire Side, it is Relic on the Brewmaster mid, as we've seen. Bloody Nine was headed to the offlane, now just going to sacrifice it, moves into the jungle on the Enigma. Sleesel on the Bane, that puts Annihilate in the safe lane on the position 1 Void, and F4L, Ancient Apparition, Frost Fingers. He'll be pulling, stacking, and getting a little bit of experience out of the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of babysitting situation is going to allow Korok to be very active, especially around when he hits level 6. He's going to be really gunning for this tier 1 tower, but I don't know if that strat's going to work out for them in full. Like, I mean, Dragon Knight can carry in of its own right pretty well, but you're not going to be able to completely shut down the Brewmaster. He's still going to be a relevant hero, and this Tide is just getting absolutely nothing up on the top lane. He's gotten level 2, 2.5, but yeah, he is just having a really rough time of it. And we actually also see that the other off-laner, quote-unquote, the Enigma, is actually going back to the jungle himself. So although he's not getting anything on the lane, Bane will TP down there to counter-push as well as get some good solo experience against Snake King, and the Enigma is going to be doing what Enigma does, play the fastest jungler you can be in the early game, and he is going to be able to build up towards not only the Soul Ring, but probably a Mechanism very early on.
Yeah, starting off the offlane, sold him, or started him off on kind of a slow front, but he's recovered just fine. Halfway through level 4, like you mentioned, that timely soul ring, and in pretty good shape, all things considered. Bane will go halfway through level 2 from leeching that experience down bottom, but Snake King, man, he's just racking up the farm, and he'll go for that fast Midas, very standard on your Exort Invoker, and he'll stay true to the course. Him and the Faceless Void both farming dead evenly, the safe lane farmers having essential free farm. Grand's been kind of lingering around, but mostly just leeching experience off this big pull camp here and trying to snipe last hits whenever possible. Has at least found his level 3, so getting a little bit more than the absolutely nothing that it was just moments ago. But still not really ideal for the watermelon.
Invisibility.
Yeah, in this position, like, I like how well Navi US are controlling the early runes, and obviously that's going to give them some favoritism towards the lanes, but I still don't feel like Korg's gotten enough CS to justify all their commitment here. Like, we're actually going to see a flanking roam. Sleeveless should be going down here, but it's if they get vision on him, and it is nighttime now, so I think the nighttime just saves Sleezel there, and yeah, they're just kind of clearing out the creep wave, trying to take the tower pretty quick.
Yep. Still doing a lot of damage to the tower. Grant up top. He'll get isolated, and oh, that chilling touch buff certainly does a lot. Annihilate trying to close the gap. He's got the power treads. He will be able to grab it. Takes a few tower shots, but a very worthwhile dive, and happy to trade some hit points for that hero kill. They will lose their Tier 1 tower in the bottom, so Navi US get kind of something out of it. Not really a trade, but still doing some work in their own safe lane.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that the Ancients aren't being prioritized at all. Like, Grant is just going to TP right back to the top lane. They have a ward there. They're looking to push with the Eidolons here. The Anchor Smash can counter push, but also puts them at a pretty big risk against this black hole. You're not going to crack a shell out of a black hole, so Bloody Knight, I'm pretty sure, is perfectly willing to commit that for a solo kill if he gets the opportunity. So Grant getting zoned back off the tower. He will get some experience finally, though, and obviously we're seeing other things happen across the map. Mid lane, Relic taking a lot of hits, but will he get the split? No, the silence comes out.
Yep, so Brewmaster takes a spill mid. It's Fog that gets credit for that one. The glyph comes out right away at this top Tier 1 tower push, and it is getting slowed down a bit. It looks like Navi US will start to rotate, at least Fog. Will float his way towards the top lane, but Tide just doesn't bring enough to the table right now. Only level 3, nowhere close to a Ravage, and will be essentially a tower for tower exchange. Void gets the hit on that one up top, and that'll further his farm by a good little bit here. So 2-1 looking at the gold graph. Navi US with a small gold lead, but Swag with a huge experience edge. A lot of that coming from that Enigma who's still working the jungle and now finds his level 6. Black Hole online, but a 6-minute Midas onto Snake King. A great timing, and that early tower plus the free farm starting to pay some dividends.
Yeah. Weird decision coming up from the Sand King. I'm not sure if it was necessary in early play. Oh, they're going to go for a chain stun onto Brewmaster. Yep. And with the silence, they should get him once again. Yeah,
Sunstrike will miss, but that's okay. They've got plenty of damage.
They certainly do. And now Stan King is going to alleviate what I was about to talk about. At level 3, he had 2 points in Burrow, 1 point in Sandstorm. And this time where it's been passive, all he's been able to do is stack and just kind of wait. He hasn't been able to actually farm up, but now he's level 4, gets that 2nd point in Sandstorm, and he's going to stack just once more before rebounding with a huge amount of farm up on top lane.
Yep, Chrono comes out onto Grant, and more than enough damage to bring him down. Void not going for the farm accelerator in the early hand of Midas, but instead looking for that early fighting build, going for the Mask of Madness on the early power treads. The stack attempt from Stan King will not be successful, but still has himself nice 4 stack here and goes right into the dance party. Darude style in the jungle. And he'll get a pretty nice bounty out of all this, and we'll be, well, a few steps closer to that Blink Dagger and looking towards a pretty good timing here. These back-to-back kills on Relic in the mid lane, making things a lot easier for Korok. He's almost at the top of the net worth chart, tangoing with the Void, but very much up on this Brewmaster, who is not looking at a well-timed Blink Dagger.
Yeah, so, I mean, in this position here, I think that the Sankey's actually going to get the blink before the Brewmaster, and I think that gives so much potential for the Skywrath Mage. Like, Fog is only level 4 right now, but especially when he gets 6, anytime the Burrow Strike connects, that's a guaranteed kill with the Mystic Flare. They did, however, nerf it again, so maybe I can't say that as an absolute statement. It got nerfed by 10% before, went from 2.0 to 2.2 in its duration, which reduces its DPS, and now it's up to 2.4 seconds.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a pretty big nerf from where it was at previously. I guess that's a 20% increase from 6.81.
Yeah, and that's it seems very small, but that really changes the damage per second output of the Mystic Flare and gives you a lot more time to react. That 0.4 seconds is quite a bit of time in the realms of Dota.
Especially since Burrow Strike is usually going to give you that full duration, but in this case, might actually be able to walk away just barely. But right now, he doesn't have anything like a magic wand or anything. Relic's just floating this bottle and boots. It just kind of shows how pinned down he's been. 0-3 and only 36 last hits. Relic does not have the tools to survive once he gets hit by the Burrow Strike Ancient Seal.
Yeah, the silence from Skywrath Mage still proving very valuable and still a pretty strong hero despite that ultimate getting nerfed time and time again. The Ancient Seal is still pretty damn ridiculous. Korok with that Elder Dragon form has been able to do a lot of damage to this Tier 1 tower also. No glyph standing for the Dire side for another few minutes, and wow, level 6 on Frost Fingers already. Comes in onto Korok, Ice Blast connects, and he's at risk of shattering here. Yeah, down he goes, and F4L will get credit for that kill. So Relic finding some nice recovery, now up to 1,000 gold, halfway to the Blink Dagger, and maybe more importantly, they slow down that momentum of Korok.
Yeah, and Ancient Empress is actually sitting on 1,300 now because he got the kill credit. So I'm curious what he'll be able to do with that, if he's going to go straight for the Ags or whatnot. But yeah, they definitely needed to shut down this Dragonite. At stacking up 2,000 gold, he could have had so many different items that he could work towards. BKB is still high on his list, but not sure if it's the item that he would look towards immediately, as they're still up against things like Black Hole, the Fiend's Grip, the Chronosphere. There's a lot of stuff that goes right through BKB. So I would say if he's looking to pick it up, it's probably as like a third item rather than a first.
Yep. There's your mech from Enigma, so just shy of the 10-minute mark. Right on point with that ideal timing, and of course still has Black Hole available. Haven't seen one come out yet this game as they've pressured this Tier 1 tower mid, but Bloody 9, he'll hang around a little too long, gets silenced, but in comes the Chrono on 4. Grant on the backside, but no Ravage. There's the Black Hole to follow up. Ice Blast is already connected on the lot of them, and Navi US in shambles as they get cleaned up. It's a quick 4-0. And Team Swag, living up to their name, they flick their collars, they pimp their shirts. And what an exchange here, Blaze, as they get a lot out of that.
Living up to his name, I Annihilate is going to be really the one just showing what he can do. That Chronosphere was absolutely insane. They did come out of smoke, but that was the perfect setup. Didn't get anybody caught that didn't need to be, and just absolutely destroyed Navi US's early game. Like, they had some cool maneuvers. They roamed around. They got good control of jungles, but in the end, not only do they lose out on the fact that Void and Enigma kept farming, but that Chronosphere just turns it 100%. I mean, you see the gold and experience dip. This game, early game, is in the hands of Swag.
Yeah, and they get the Tier 1 tower kill also. Looking pretty okay for Navi US, and then just face dive, plane crashes into the mountain, and yeah, Swag in pretty good shape. So Void, he'll find a lot out of that, looking towards a Maelstrom, it would seem, with that set of gloves of haste there. Ancient Apparition, he's got the Ogre Club, so probably the beginnings of that Aghanim Scepter, and there's your Blink Dagger on the Brewmaster. So Sand King had his first, but now following that fight, the timing difference will be pretty much nullified, but interesting choice is Korok now. He'll go Blink Dagger, first core item following the Power Treads bottle as Grant finally gets his level 6, and now Ravage is online. That is one thing to keep in mind in that last fight. Grant was not caught inside of the Chrono, but was also not level 6. If he had a Ravage, could have been a slightly different scenario.
Yeah, I mean, picking up Gush at level 4, he's not going to be farming Ancients anytime soon. Grant has just probably been one of the more underfarmed off-lane tides that I've seen, but that's just the state of affairs. They're not able to turn fights until now, but that's the Blink Dagger choice is very interesting on Korok too. I've seen it quite a few times, and I've seen it work very well, but I'm trying to think of the key targets that he wants to jump here. Dragon Tail on Sleeves would be really good, taking the bait out of the fight, or canceling a Fiend's Grip very abruptly would be really, really nice. Also, catching out a Void who's trying to time walk away is probably your best means of pursuit. So using that in conjunction with Sand King can have a lot of stuff happen, but for now it's going to be the jump on top lane, trying to bring down F4L.
Yeah, Sunstrike will hit, and Korok will finish him off with a Breathe Fire. So an easy pick right there, and we'll see the initial use of the Blink Dagger at least prove a successful kill, but now a smoke rotation coming out from Swag is they're headed to the Roche Pit or for a gank down bottom, possibly onto Snake King. Relic already scouting it out with an Invisibility Rune. Goes for the initiation, right onto Snake King. There's your Primal Split, and no way to Ghost Walk out of this one. This may end up just being a solo kill. Snake King on the run, TP flying through, Boulder cooling down in 1 second, and uses the Tornado to lock the Tide in place, but Snake King has a Blink Dagger, hops over the tree line, and he will live. Relic heads back to safety.
Yeah, and also they don't feel confident going for Roshan anymore. They were trying to go for a neat little solo play. They had Mask of Manus on Void. They had the Enigma's Eidolons, but in the end, no, they're not confident with that. And yeah, Bloody 9 just goes up top. So Panda not having enough damage for the solo play, it just really shows that his tempo has been really quite limited. The Invoker is a hero that should be kind of glass cannony right now, only 1,000 HP, and invested in the Hand of Midas, but one Anchor Smash, and they're not able to seal the deal on that one, and they want more kill tempo than what they've already received. Obviously, we know that they can take fights when it really counts, but Navi US have better pickoff potential. When it comes down to smaller skirmishes, they're the ones to get the jump with the Blink Dagger advantage, and they're the ones that have the chain of disables to make it impossible to escape.
Yep. So, Swag will go back to their side of the map. Their tier 2 in the bottom lane has taken a lot of damage as Ford Spirits have kind of continually shoved into it. But now, initiation mid lane onto Korok. Fiend Script from the backside, but do they have the damage to bring him down? There's the Midnight Pulse, the Ice Blast flying through, another Black Hole, sets up on 2. Dragon Knight and Skywrath Mage will get on that first class ticket. Back to the well, and that's another easy pickoff for Team
Easy
Swag.
Roche, too.
Yeah.
They
With a
can
double
go with
damage.
this. They got the Drunken Haze. They've got Evasion on Brewmaster. They can easily go for this Roshan. And even with the Ravage and Epicenter, which usually should be big pick contesters, I think they're still going to be able to pick it up. But we'll see the timing. Korok is the big one. Can they get in? To scout out with Forward Spirits, get into Epicenter, all those good things. For now, the Tier 1 tower falls. Now the US have to suspect something. But do they actually know? It looks like with the Radiant Observer, they see Sleazel camping it out. They're going to go for FRL for the quick pick, but Annihilate, looking for the Chrono.
Yep, he's got it ready. Sunstrike will connect with the Ancient Apparition. That'll melt the ice. Solo Chrono onto Grant. Oh, pardon me, on 2. Catches the Sand King off to the side. Roche getting very low. They're trying to commit to it. Relic, he's stuck in the pit. Bloody Nine goes in for the extra damage. Void over the side. Brewmaster will get the last hit on Roche and grabs the Aegis. There's your Ravage. Finishes off the Void and the Enigma. The Aegis will get burned as the Brewmaster comes back to life. And now it's Navi US with the big team fight. Relic tries to TP out, but it won't happen. It's a full 5-man wipe as Navi US clean it up, and they take no casualties of their own. A huge net worth trade, over 4,000. All tied up 9-9, but Navi US back in the lead.
Yeah, just able to do so much work there. The Chronosphere was completely impotent. The 2 that he chronoed, 1 got nightmared, the other one was way too tanky, and in the end the Void he couldn't do anything at this current stage. He did want to pop his Mask of Mana to become even more squishy without a BKB, and he didn't have the Maelstrom finish, so yeah, he's not doing anything by himself. So, while we saw a great teamfight come out from Swag with the perfect usage of ultimates, this one was just too many errors, and in the end they couldn't take it. They didn't even need the Epicenter to invade, and although they didn't get the Aegis, they still got so much value out of that movement there.
Yep. So they did get a little bit of. Let's just take a glance at the graph as things have fiddled down, and yeah, about 1,000 gold and 0 experience. So Navi US right back to where they were. Korok with 2,300 gold, looking towards his next core item. Maybe going to give us a sign as he moves near the secret shop. No, very curious how this item build will end up going, though. I think a BKB may be in his future. Though actually, not the best BKB game. So many ultimates that cut through it. Usually a core item on the Dragon Knight, but what are you looking at here, Blaze, for Korok items?
And that's what I was talking about before. The BKB, I think it could still be a 3rd item, but he wants one more item before that. We could see something like a Halberd come out just as a casual pickup. He wants some extra strength, but he doesn't want to stack too much strength here. Up against a hero like Enigma, the Midnight Pulse doing pure damage based on your HP pool, you generally don't want to go into the standard pickup. So you don't want to go Heart, for example. You want to go Satanic instead because you get HP back every time you hit rather than having the static value. So in this case, maybe AC is in the cards, BKB as a 3rd item, and then go Satanic after that. It's a really hard call. I think Helmet Dominator would be a good casual pickup now, but it really depends on, like you said, how he wants to build it. Right now it's Initiation, but he definitely needs to have some follow-up after that as far as damage output.
Yeah. Maybe an Assault Karaz could be okay, but not the most synergy around his team either, because they're mostly magical based. So this is just a tough game in terms of itemization for Korok. There isn't really an obvious item path, and we'll see how it works out. But Bloody Nine up top, moving into his Black King bar. It looks like Navi US might not be able to beat the clock in terms of doing crippling damage before the Magic Immunity comes out on Enigma. Grand Grant seems to be going towards a mech. Could just be a casual Ring of Regen for now, but 1,300 gold. Wow,
Yeah,
they have 3 Blink Daggers already, too, with a level 1 Necro Book on the Invoker.
Oh yeah, they've had this blink advantage for a decent period of time now, and they've been using it very well, but I think that clock is really ticking here. Bloody Nine picking up the BKB. If he can respond to any of these stuns and get the BKB off in the fight, Snake King tries to Ghost Walk away, but they've got the dust, and they've got the kill.
Yeah, Snake King will go down on the bottom lane. I was looking at the Void at the beginning of that, who just barely lives, and they'll be able to turn it around on the Invoker. Now in the top lane, Bloody Nine, he's taking a lot of damage, finds the kill on the Tidehunter, solo Black Hole onto Fogged, but across the map, it's Swag that come out ahead once more. Well, the recap not going to be much help, but it's a 1 for 3 across the map as Void narrowly escapes with his life. A couple of lucky backtracks, but he ate a Sunstrike, the Epicenter, and now maybe look at the vengeance they were looking for, and backtrack that, they say, as Korok fires him down with the Breathe Fire.
And that's the double blink initiation. Look at the net worth on Korok now. He is at 4,300. He's been farming really well, and he finds like this triple creep wave up on the top lane. Just Breathe fires that down, has a little bit of cleave in the other Dragonborn. Splash damage, I guess, is the actual term. But in either case, he is about to hit 5k gold. Like, he can go whatever the hell he wants with that kind of money. The AC, I think, would still be good with the Forward Spirits, which are doing really good physical damage. The Necronomicon also hitting hard physical. So I could see that being pretty valuable. But really, no matter how he builds it, the fact that he is so high up in net worth is really the valuable thing for him.
Yeah. So Grant is indeed committing to the mech, and actually just a couple hundred gold away from finishing the recipe. But as always, that will delay his Blink Dagger, and that's a key piece of initiation that Navi US won't have. But with 3 blinks on other heroes, one being the Dragonite, so they've got 2 stun initiations. I guess assuming that Grant will be able to get in position just by doing it the old-fashioned way with those 2 legs. Now they'll go in onto Stan King mid, and Sunstrike flies through, and not even needed as the ultimate from Fogged. Plenty of damage to follow up that Burrow Strike set up from the Sand King. So just a little pick-me-up there, free kill, and Navi US will further that gold lead now about 2,000 in their favor.
All right, decision time. Going out to the Secret Shop. I could go for a lot of different things here. Demon Edge could facilitate things like MKB, which is good against the Baru. Crit, which is good in general. The Ace Hyperstone for Mjolnir AC is great. It could be just the straight Reaver if he disrespects the Midnight Pulse potential, but it is going to be the Hyperstone. So first and foremost, Mjolnir or AC, then he can build up towards things that make him a little bit tankier. And I still think, like, it depends on your order of initiation whether or not you want to go for Satanic as your 6, because the AO ult is still going to be, like, pretty much the entire time you're trying to lifesteal, it's going to be at the Aghanim Scepter level. So it's going to be a very long duration, but if you wait until that pops before you blink in, you're still going to get a huge amount of value out of that kind of an item pickup. So I could consider it a hard late game thing, but for now, he just wants to hit hard, hit fast, and whatever builds out of the Hyperstone will be what he needs there. So that'll come out about the same time as Snake King's Necro 3, and I really think that they have some real teamfight potential around that time, as the Brewmaster isn't nearly 16. In fact, he's trying to go for a BKB to avoid the Skywrath silence, and he's still not there either.
Yeah. Yeah, good point on that front, is both teams have really just slowed down the tempo, and there you go, it's the full Mjolnir coming out for the Dragonite. So Korok just going into raw damage now, and maybe keeping up with that mindset if they want to end this one sooner rather than later with all of this team fight presence. We'll get a little counterboard action there on the side of Swag. And Brewmaster looking towards a BKB, still not too close on that front, but Bloody Nine, he's close. If they can just let him farm up another 500 gold or so, they'll be in team fight time or territory. The big one is the Ancient Apparition. He's found level 11, and he's only 100 gold away from this Aghanim Scepter. Boy, has he found a lot of farm this game, 2, 3, and 9. F4L having a great game thus far.
Yeah, they're very close to some key item pickups, honestly. Not just the Aghanim Scepter and the Ancient Apparition, but the BKB on Enigma. Soon enough, the Brewmaster, he's not too far off, and it'll just take one fight to get him there. But we're going to see the pressure come out pretty early. Alacrity, Necronomicon, Forge Spirits, everything in the book for Snake King to push down this top tier 2. Force rotations and force an engagement. They still have those 2 big blink initiators, although Korok is not nearby. He picks up the haste, and he will be able to join his allies as quick as need be.
Yeah, tier 2 in the top lane will stand for now. Now the TP rotation.
What the hell, Void?
Chrono on 1, but Grant with a Ravage on 1. They'll bring down the Void. Now in comes Stan King, finishes off the Bane. The Primal Split goes through. Snake King in some trouble and will end up burning down to the wrath of the Immolation. It's a 1 for 2 thus far, but now the Panda, he's taking a lot of damage, and they'll kill him before he even goes back into brew form, it looks like. Do they have the right clicks? Sand King, well, misses the stun. Not that it would have made a difference. He does get to go back to brew form, but now not going to make any kind of a difference, and I think you had the right idea at the beginning of that fight, Blaze. What the hell was that, Void?
Seriously, like the Enigma didn't even have a TP there. He would have had to go to side chop and then TP up. It was literally a 2v5 and there wasn't even an Ice Blast. Like if I see the Ice Blast marker, I at least see some incentive for going in, saying, okay, well this is the time where they're going to be easy to bring down. I can maybe take down 2 in Chrono if I'm really lucky on my Maelstrom and Bash procs. But he just went in YOLO solo. Sleazel is not the hero you want to back you up in that sense, and yeah, that was ugly.
Yeah, very awkward. The BKB comes out on Enigma, and they just needed to be more patient there. There was no reason for the Void to hop in like that. Even if you have to sack your Tier 2 tower, they still have a glyph for crying out loud. So they could have delayed that a bit longer, give Bloody Nine the time that he needed, and still maybe made a defense to take a team fight with a little bit more coordination. At the very least, just buy some time and wait for that Ice Blast cooldown to come back up so you have a chance at picking up some kills. Regardless, Navi US make out like bandits, and 7,500 gold, 5,000 experience now end in their favor. Korok's net worth gets that much higher. And what's coming out on this courier? Anything exciting? It'll be an Ogre Club for Korok and a staff for Fog. So looking for his 4th staff perhaps. Snake King in the tree line. That's an awkward spot to be in. Midnight Pulse will clear it up, and looking for a kill onto the Bane, but down he goes, and it'll be another kill for the Faceless Void.
Yeah. There's no real room for Navi US to fight without their ultimates, so they will have to wait for the Ravage as well as the Epicenter. In that sense, it was just kind of spreading the map trying to find farm, but they're actually going to go in without these ultis. You've got to be very careful about this Black Hole.
Black Hole on 2, BKB used by Bloody Nine, no way for Fog to interrupt it. Korok will survive the initial bout of damage, in comes the Sand King. Huge damage, brings down the Void. It's a 1-for-1 following that kill on Snake King. Grant in the front lines does have a Ravage in about 12 seconds if they can stretch out this fight long enough. Now Sand King comes back in, Sleazel in trouble, he's going to die. Bloody Nine hangs around a bit too long. Relic will be able to hop to safety. The Dubs will chase him down, will live, and Grant walks away with a double kill. It looked like decent initiation from Swag with the Black Hole, but it's Navi US, even without a lot of their big cooldowns, still take a successful fight. Now they still have the Ravage ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, Sand King's ultimate couldn't have come out at just a better time. It was 5 seconds to go when the jump happened, and the big deal here was Void activated the Mask of Madness, so he dies in the Epicenter, doesn't get the Chrono off, and while you don't have a Ravage, you don't have a Chrono, and I feel those are pretty equal level cooldowns at this stage in the game, so being able to take the Void out of the fight so early, damn good, even if there was the BKB and the Enigma and the Pandas don't take the full effect. But yeah, they're able to turn it back around. Navi US, I feel, have a really good grasp on this game. Like, they're only going to get stronger, and Swag, they have to have this Enigma make huge plays. Like, they need to get a blink on him on top of the BKB, and they need to make every single Black Hole count.
Yep. Black Hole on cooldown for another 2 minutes, but now the Blink Dagger has been picked up on Grant. So Tidehunter has a much longer range of initiation. BKB is coming out of plenty, though. Now one out on the Brewmaster, so his life will be a little more difficult on that front and trying to find the perfect Ravage. Does look like that's where Faceless Void is looking at next. Ogre Club with 1,000 gold in savings. Usually a good sign that a BKB is on the horizon. With that, Navi US will move into the Roche Pit, feeling rather confident with their cooldown starting to come back online. Sand King will have his in about 10 seconds here. Does get scouted out. Ice Blast flies through. Grant, Invisibility Rune on. Will scout this out and look to catch him off guard. They see Annihilate in the bottom lane, farming away. Sleazel and Relic coming in, and they'll go right in onto Annihilate. They use the Ravage for it, but they do find a clean kill, and with no Chronosphere, Swag will not have an easy way to contest this Roche, and yeah, they'll back up right away.
If Void doesn't buy back here, which it looks like he's not going to because he really wants a BKB, then this Aegis will hand them a bunch of structures. Like, they've already taken all the outer tier towers, so that means they're going to look at tier 3s, and again, it comes down to the perfect use of ultimates, but if you get this Aegis out on the side of Navi US, you're in a damn good shape to finish the game before 35, 40 minutes. So they do put it on Korok. One thing to mention is that you only get 1 dragon out of the 2 lives. You will have to kind of bear with that fact, but if he gets healed up well enough and he uses his cooldowns very effectively, then he is going to get a lot of value out of it nevertheless, and yeah, they're going to be hard-pressed to deal with this over this 5-minute frame.
Yeah, definitely. Invoker has now moved into his Boots of Travel as his next core item here, so a lot more mobile on Snake King. Could commence in some Rat Dota. Finds Sleazel, hits him with a meatball, and interrupts the TP. Now Sleazel certain to go down. Fog comes in and will hit him with an Arcane Bolt as he 4 stabs forward. Easy pickings on that Bane Elemental. Annihilate, well, just gets tickled here in the mid lane as he walks away. Now goes back in. Almost uses the Chrono there. He was certainly thinking about it, but the fast trigger finger from Korok keeps him alive.
Yep, so he'll stay up, at least for the moment here. He definitely wants to make use of that Aegis more so than just a little pick off, but he's kind of baiting around. He's having some fun with it, and yep, doesn't end up losing anything in the end. But we're going to see Relic farm up towards his Vladimir's offering to enhance the Void's potential there, as well as to alleviate some of the physical damage coming out. The Dragonite's hitting pretty hard. I already mentioned the Invoker's physical output, and you can even put the Anchor Smash on top of that. We will see them kind of get baited out by an illusion here, so they do pop the other Dragon form. Pretty big cooldown, almost 2 minutes, and I don't think they're going to be able to push off that at all, so that is going to be some significant time off the Aegis.
Yeah, all the outer towers have gone down, so they kind of have to make it to the base if they want to make use of this ultimate, and even if they head there straight away right now, it probably won't be happening. Korok does have his Ogre Club, so probably a BKB next out on him. Magic Immunity just coming out all over the place as Invoker now with an Ogre Club. Ogre Club, so it's all Ogre now, boys, as everyone's got their clubs ready and moving towards having something to deal with all these spells. Sand King has picked up a Yule's Scepter, another item you don't see on him too often, maybe somewhat frequently, but the Veil, the Ags, perhaps a little bit more common. Even a Force Staff after the Blink Dagger you'll see pop out in that inventory a bit more frequently than the Yule's Scepter. And on that same notion, Grand Grant now appears to be moving towards a pipe with that casual cloak pickup.
No, it's all on Bloody Nine here. They know that they're pressing in for kind of this super death ball. If Korok just kind of goes on the front line by himself, he can use the fact that he has Aegis to just get some easy chip damage on the tower while his team keeps his back. But if the Enigma is able to find a multi-man black hole with this BKB on, then I still think that they're able to take a huge fight. It depends if the Midnight Pulse comes out, though. We talked about the lack of damage before, and long-term, the Ancient Apparition Ultimate will help that, but at level 2, it's good, but it's not going to completely destroy them. They need a little bit more. So I would love to see Bloody Nine get a 3-man black hole with Midnight Pulse. I think that would enable them to hold it, but for now he's going to use it to zone, and you have to remember that cooldown was nerfed to 35 seconds.
Yeah, it is pretty long, only stays on the ground for 11, so only 1/3 uptime. You got to be a little bit choosy about how you use that big ultimate. Korok will now have his BKB complete. Ultimate will come back up, and still at least a minute left on the Aegis. Looks like closer to 2. So this is a pretty big window of opportunity for Navi US. We'll see how Korok, once he uses ultimate, will use it straight away. Blinks in on the Bloody Nine, and Enigma down he goes as Grant follows up with the Ravage. No buybacks available for anyone but the Sand King. So that is a dead Enigma for 50 seconds. There is a glyph, but Relic. BKB's forced to split, and Korok just going to stand his ground up on top of the ledge, as it looks like Navi US are in pretty good shape. They'll back up, wait out some of this ultimate from the Brewmaster. He just goes right in onto F4L. And, well, there's the Cyclone. That'll buy him some time, but now they lose their Bane. Void comes in, BKB on, has his ultimate ready, but all the damage has gone down. Even if he uses it now, to what avail? Relic gets cleaned up, and this is the sloppiest fight we've seen from Swag all game. Tier 3 tower goes down, and this is probably going to be GG, Blaze.
He slow walks over to one, and he walks out of the range that he wants to fight him in. He walks over to another. There's a Ghost Scepter on the Skywrath. He walks over to the Sand King. He Yules himself. BKB completely wasted. He's just like running around in circles, trying to find a good target to pick off. But there's no fight for you here, man. This is just all bad news, and they are down to their pretty much last legs. They have to make the black hole happen, but Navi US know it. I think they're spread well enough to avoid the Corona black hole, but still gonna hit.
Oh my gosh, I can feel the breeze from here. It's a complete whiff from Bloody Nine, uses his BKB, and yeah, he's in some trouble. He may live, but the big cooldown is wasted. They'll lose the tier 3 tower mid. They do get a gem, which is a nice little pick-me-up. Chrono on 1. It'll catch Snake King. Ice Blast will secure the kill as Void brings him down. So Swag get a couple of cleanup kills, but big damage has been done here. They'll get actually a pretty big net worth trade off that, but I don't think it'll be enough to really get them back into this game here.
Well then, I really don't know an answer now. I mean, they needed near perfect execution with their ultimates. I think that Swag had their draft had the potential to go really late on this one, but we just see the momentum has been completely stifled. The Void is as farmed as the Enigma is, and is a hero that generally can flash farm faster than Dragonite. Like, if a Dragonite is getting ancient stacks, that's one thing, but without it, the Mask of Madness, the Maelstrom, I know he should be able to clear out everything so damn quick, but he's down. He's 5-5-5 on the KDA. 10 assists are actually up on Korok's Dragonite, so very involved on this guy. So yeah, I don't see a way to 6.82 out of this one. Like, you can get some great comeback kills, but in the end, you're still being down the racks, and I just think Navi US, they have a superior expertise when it comes to positioning.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. And they're just doing a great job utilizing their cooldowns, choosing when to fight based on when they have the advantage. And if they don't have the advantage, they're being a lot more passive about it. So we'll see Fogged maybe in some trouble as there's a 5-hero smoke rotation. Of course, Black Hole not ready yet, nor is the Fiend's Grip. But Swag, they want to be aggressive here. They'll find the Skywrath with the Force Staff. Will buy Fogged some time. There are some forces coming in. He'll get crit down, ends the mega kill streak. But now Korok goes in hard onto Sleesel, laying in the right clicks. BKB's on. Sand King's there. Ravage on 4 from Grant. Helps set things up. Relic will be able to get off his BKB. They'll lose Snake King off to the side. Sand King uses his ultimate, but doesn't do a hell of a lot. Now the Sand King will fall, and Swag will actually find a successful fight here.
Void just abandoned his team because he didn't have mana, so he TP'd out. Grand and Korok are still in this, and it's the Brew and Enigma 2v2. They don't have the damage to bring down Korok because Void just left. He's like, I don't have Chrono, guys. I can't get involved. But now they're just being run down. Finally, I know he's back in, but it's too late to save Relic.
I mean, okay, this could end up being a full team wipe. It's a 3-for-4 so far. Grant, what can you do here? Not too many options at his disposal. Looking for the kill onto Bloody Nine, and he may well find it. 1 or 2 more auto attacks ought to do it. The mech will buy Bloody Nine some time. The Malefice comes out in return, and Grant now on the run. He's so damn tanky, but he's completely out of mana. Doesn't even have a magic wand. He wants it so bad, but he can't find it. It will end as a 3-for-5 exchange, and Swag get the better of it, much to my surprise, given that Navi US had a lot of ultimates at their disposal.
I just don't see them controlling the Roche Pit, though, with this bottom lane just being completely torn apart. Like, they don't even have any Ziggurats to hold the tier 4s alive. They've lost all their buildings, they've lost all their racks, and although they can Ice Blast the Roche Pit, they have to go for, like, this perfectly timed smoke play if they're going to contest the pit at all. And another Roche for Navi US means another opportunity to push down a free lane, and it just puts so much more emphasis on Swag's usage of their abilities. Like, pristine play, they're back in this, but we haven't seen that so far, and even that last fight, the net worth change isn't enough to give me confidence once more.
F4L gets caught out in the jungle. Plenty of damage to follow up. Should be enough to bring him down. Bane takes a silence, but now the follow-up. Bloody Nine, Black Hole at the ready. Can he find the opening? Snake King will get stunned up. They may burn a solo Black Hole, and they will. But it gets interrupted. The Yules is there from Stan King. He'll get Fiend's Grip off to the side. Even a Chrono. They want Snake King. They'll get him. And they also find the Sand King off to the side. Both Kings have been dethroned. And again, Swag get a good team fight. And they're kind of clawing their way back into this a bit here, Blaze.
Yeah, I mean, it's sloppy play from Navi US, kind of spreading this hard, but they're getting little kind of stepping stones to the path to victory for Swag. They really need to make use of this gold very emphatically, but yeah, crit coming out on Annihilate, they're not going to be lacking damage anymore. They just need to make sure that he has that BKB in the chrono. 8 seconds, get a good chrono on multiple people, and not let them blink out of it. That's the key there, but we'll see. DK kind of answering his farm tit for tat. MKB will come out for him, and he's certainly got the attack speed to really make that worthwhile. I mean, he could blink, stun, and kill anybody at this stage, even the Brewmaster, I think, but we'll have to test that theory soon enough. For now, though, Korok, he's going to be a little bit in the danger zone, but he's got Grand at his back, and although there won't be any more pickoffs, they do have to kind of get their game fixes on.
Yep. So, Sand King looks like he'll go into a Yules. Fogged appears to be looking at a Veil of Discord. That'll really buff up just the general damage of Navi US, as they do have a lot of magic damage output.
Well, I actually got a... Oh, man. Okay, so you're absolutely right on that, but I have another theory with the Helmet of the Unwill. If you go for a Helmet Dominator and you find a Dark Troll Summoner, you can actually use the Ensnare ability to cancel a BKB Black Hole. Like, it's the only way they could do it, is to dominate a creep.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. I like where you're thinking, but yeah, Veil Discord, a little more standard. Yeah, pretty good stuff. See how it works out, though. They may need something to deal with that BKB Black Hole, as now third Roche is up. Swag moved into the pit, and they have everything except the Black Hole. Still down for another minute. This is very risky. Navi US have all of their big ultimates available. Snake King will Ghost Walk forward. Navi US are smoked up. They need to get in here soon. Roche taking a lot of damage. I Annihilate with the BKB on. Finds Snake King. Brings him down right away. Ravage from Grant doesn't do a hell of a lot. And now comes in the Sand King with his ultimate on. They'll lose their Dragon Knight straight away. Navi US walk into their deaths. Roche is still standing. But the Radiant team, Where have you gone? Navi US, how the mighty have fallen. It's a 4-0. They'll get an uncontested third Roche. And the team that seemed down for the count minutes ago, now all of a sudden have the experienced lead. Snaking, what are you doing, good sir? He'll buy back and run in. He'll get off the ghost walk, but they've got a gem. Snaking will commence the dieback unless he can pull the jukes of the century. Blink Dagger almost comes up. There's the tornado. He's on the run. Blink Dagger will cool down. He makes it into the tree line. But where's he going, Blaze? He doesn't have a TP.
He's got to be a tease. He's just cooling him down. He's so close.
Oh
They're
my
not
God.
gonna find him.
He's going to live.
Oh, I guess they thought he was already gone. Figured he had the TP available. And he's still there, but finally TP's up top, and yeah,
Ooh.
eggs on their faces.
Still, needless to say, Swag making out like bandits this time, and just look at this graph. It's a nice little mountain. They're right back in it. Void now, the full Daedalus. The Aegis of the Immortal is in the hands of Annihilate, was not burned in that fight, and Relic, he's going to grab the cheese on the Brewmaster, who also has 3,500 gold, so an Assault Karas may not be too far off of this Brewmaster if that's the item route he wants to move into.
So I'm really not feeling what this Veil of Discord gives for Fogged right here. Like, everybody that you want to kill off really quickly has a BKB anyways. The Ancient Apparition is going to be too far back. The Bane is working towards this BKB. I honestly see so much more value in alternatives. I mean, building up the Ghost Scepter into an Ethereal Blade, we've seen that happen a couple times, and it can be used defensively in the right circumstances, other different things. But we will see the pickoff, thanks to this Observer Ward on the plateau. It was about to expire, but they get a gem out of it, which is actually pretty high value considering they were using it with the Ice Vortex to try to deward.
Yep. So, pick off on the Bane, tied up 27-27, and let's see other item progressions. Yeah, the pipe still hasn't come out on Grant, almost able to afford it as he takes down these Mud Golems. He'll have just enough gold. But what's the plan of attack here, Blaze, for Navi US? I mean, these last few team fights they've taken have been abysmal. Do you chalk it up mostly to positioning, itemizing? How do they seal the deal in this game where they're already a racks and a half up?
Well, in this situation, they kind of look at it like, okay, well, we've already pushed in the bottom lane. We figured that the Swag are going to be grouped up in specific positions, and the Observer Wards that we have are going to kind of reveal, since we know where they aren't, we figure where they're going to be grouped up. But every single time Navi US has made a movement, it seems like they're caught off guard, caught surprised. So despite the fact that they have a lane pushing and they have Observer Wards up, they still don't have a good idea of where Swag are. So maybe more wards, maybe just a better form of scouting, like moving the Forge Spirits forward first. At least that'll rule out anything but the Smoke of Deceit. But they really need to have a better understanding of where the enemies are positioned so they can look to pick off. If they blink stun on anybody, they're still dead via Korok. And I think that's got to be the key thing, is taking down Bloody Nine or an Annihilate before the team fight begins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last few fights, the Chronospheres have been pretty on point from Annihilate. And now that he has the damage, it's not as big of a deal. Pardon me, I said that complete opposite of what I bet. It is a big deal for Navi US, whereas before it really wasn't. He was hitting for kittens, and sure, it locked him in place, maybe set up for the black hole, but now anyone who's stuck inside the Chrono, they're going to find at least one kill off of it. Annihilate hopping forward, will get shipped back by Fog. Sand King hiding in the tree line here, and it looks like the fight won't break out. Navi US will just head back to safety, at least for now. So the pipe has come out on the Tide. And Snake King moving into probably a Shiva's. Guess it could possibly be an AC, but does have that plate mill nonetheless. I feel like Navi US are just one good team fight away from breaking the base. That is the key difference here. If Swag continue to play this perfectly and take all these good team fights, they will eventually be able to claw their way into a victory, but there's still 3 Tier 2 towers standing that's left to chew through before they can get to the base. Navi US, on the other hand, if they wipe up Swag, they've already got this mid lane of racks with no Tier 3 tower. They can just start trucking into the base and do some crippling damage off one quick push.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with the point that like all these fights are taking place on the dire sides. They're able to push off that very well, and they should be able to end the game quite literally off of one fight. But I think in spirit, Swag are only one fight away from bringing themselves back into pretty much a full dominant position. Because if they are able to wipe Navi US one more time, this no longer becomes a farm comeback game. Because right now, if you look at the graphs, like they drop down heavily, but they're still able to zero the graphs out just by farm alone. But one more team wipe, and that's not the case anymore. They're just like in an all-in high-pressure mode. For now, at least, they feel confident maybe they can build up some sheep sticks. They've got a pipe on Tide. Hell, Abyssal Blade is pretty valuable towards the later stages of this game too. So I don't know. They really need to look at where they're progressing towards hyper late game, and if they lose one more fight, then I feel Swagger just going to be too far ahead. I mean, before they didn't seem to be executing as well as they needed to, but those last couple of fights, it was actually Navi US who were blundering, and now with this next smoke play, if they get caught off guard again, it could be curtains for either side.
Yeah, this time Enigma has a Shiva, still holding on to the cheese. Aegis of the Immortal does not have any duration left. Looks like it has expired. Yep, Void's got that open inventory slot. It will be Ancient Apparition sitting back at the base, defending against the creep wave coming in, but that means he'll be able to get off, at least presumably, a pretty good Ice Blast. The rest of his team can start off these fights. So this is one thing that I guess is kind of good for Swag, is having an Ancient Apparition in this position. He's the natural defender who sort of benefits from being so far behind. We'll throw a snowball towards the bottom lane, scouts it out, and doesn't see a hell of a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, being level 16, he wants for nothing more in this world. Like, he can just be sitting back, and he's going to be the one here that doesn't get picked off. He can park it right between the tier 4s and not have to worry about pretty much anything unless the Radiants start getting wards up in the enemy base. For now, they're just kind of spreading it again. They're going for some farm in the Dire territory and in the Radiant territory, so they are going to be able to continue to bring that graph up, but I don't think it pulls them into a position where they're great in the late game. I mean, you can consider Divine Rapier territory for Korok. He's got the Reaver, so we'll see if he goes the Satanic or Heart. Both have their weaknesses against Midnight Pulse and Ice Blast, but, you know, we got to pick something up.
Yeah, the Heart is better against the AA, but worse against the Midnight Pulse, and obviously the Satanic is the complete opposite of that. So it's where does Korok feel a little bit more confident? To be honest, the last few fights, it's been the Void that's kind of locked him in place, and the Midnight Pulse hasn't been as huge of an issue. But we'll see. Really hard to guess what's going on in the head of Korok right now. Both teams kind of in stalemate territory. Will be the hardest to ask. So there you go. Just going for the raw beef.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the AA LTs have been enough on point with the Chronosphere setup that I think that's a fair enough choice, but it doesn't put him in the game 100%. There's still the possibility Bloody Knight goes for the Aghanim Scepter, or just gets the good Midnight Pulse for a long duration. I mean, that's still tearing through his HP. So, for those that don't remember, this is pure damage that goes through BKB, so Korok is going to be taking damage based on his percent HP, no matter how beefy he may be. So, at least it allows him to survive against Void a little longer. Annihilate running the Mask of Madness, Mjolnir, and Daedalus. He was chunking down the DK so damn fast before, so does help him on that front.
Yeah, and Relic, I imagine this has to be an Assault Kuros. They've already got one Shiva's out on the Enigma, and he's really not that far away. He's got just enough gold, almost enough gold to grab it. May want to be pulling for buyback at this stage before he invests in anything. And looking at the buyback status, 3 not available on the side of Navi US, as Korok just invested in the Heart. And snaking, hold that thought, as Korok, speak of the devil in the mid lane. Will this Heart be enough to keep him alive? Doesn't look like it. The Ice Blast will connect, and Korok now without a buyback. This could be bad news bears for Navi US. They'll lose Fogged as well. A quick double for Annihilate. And now they'll press forward, presumably towards the base, maybe look to take out some tier 2s, as they've got 70 seconds with no Dragon Knight.
Yeah, and this is the exact opposite of what we were seeing in the earlier stages of the game. Navi US were finding these pickoffs left and right. They were getting a bunch of random, like, solo, like, 2v1, 3v1 kills out of nowhere. They were just handing themselves the game, finding those opportunities. But now Swag is doing the exact opposite, and they're all so much more important because they're 60-second death timers instead of 8-second death timers. They're ones without buyback at this stage of the game that can just completely redefine how this plays out. And although they don't know the Dragon Knight doesn't have buyback, they have to be considering the fact that he hasn't jumped it just yet, and they're going to at least take the tier 2s off of it, though there will be some rat play coming out on the top lane.
Snake King heads up top. He's picked up an Assault Kuros, so some decent minus armor here, and does throw out the Alacrity on a Forged Spirit instead of the Necro units, but will do some okay damage to the tower. Ice Blast flies through. And doesn't do too much, but F4L will come to the defense, and this tier 3 tower actually does take a fair bit of damage. So even off that great set of pickoffs, Swag only trade a tier 2 tower for some precious health on their last remaining tier 3, and still don't really get the best trade out of it. They take a lot of damage on a tier 4 tower also, and they're running out of these safety structures, as you pointed out.
Yeah, Sleazel will have a little skirmish with Snake King here, but I don't think Snake King looks to pursue Sleazel. is able to get out of there. But I like this pickup on the Brewmaster here. He finished up the Vlads, and he could have gone for the AC, but they just need mobility. He picks up the Boots of Travels, and now he's going to be able to try to turn a pick-off into an actual push. They just need to keep the lanes pushed out, get the creeps arriving on the enemy side of the map, and they'll actually be able to do a lot more than just turn it into a delay of game tactic. They will be able to turn pickoffs into structural damage, and that's the big deal here. So we'll see. Also, of course, when he gets buyback, Relic will be able to bring a second life to the team fights.
So,
Korok.
oh man, Korok. He jumps right onto Bloody Nine, uses his
Yeah,
BKB,
Fiends.
doing a lot of damage. There's the Fiend's Grip, one of many abilities they have to cut through the Black King bar. Out comes the split from the Panda. Sand King comes in, but Korok goes down again. No buyback available on him. And the Sand King does not have a blink to follow this up. Yules will come out. Grant comes in with a Ravage. Connects on two. There's the Mystic Flare. Splits it up. They'll find the kill on Bane, but there's your Black Hole. Locks one in place. The Yules out on the Tide Hunter. That'll buy him some time. Enigma ends up going down. Fog falls to the side. It's a 2 for 3. Grant on the run, and he will live. But the mid lane taking some damage. I Annihilate will be able to live,
right.
but just barely.
Yeah, that Sunstrike hitting would have been the death of him as well, and that would have been brutal. But as it stood, Navi US are still able to get some structural damage out of the back of that. They still lose out pretty hard as far as gold goes. You can see that Enigma in particular did a ton of damage with that Midnight Pulse there. 2,400 damage in that last fight. Bring down the Dragonite, which is the big kill, and then obviously the other two. I think they would have also gotten the Tide if the Brewmaster canceled his Cyclone when he needed to with the Dispel Magic, but as it stood, he was tornadoed for the full duration, and that actually would have been the Tide inside a Black Hole. So unfortunate, but either way, for now, they get the better kills, and they hold their buildings. They hold the racks, so the range one will not be regenerating.
Yeah, still more precious HP lost on their few structures remaining. Fourth Roche, now an option, and I Annihilate hops right into the pit. We'll be able to solo it down. Now gets the help of Relic. And Navi US obviously not in much of a position to contest it as they still have 3 dead, and will end up just being a freebie over for the side of Swag. Now Aegis and Cheese once more. What's going where? It looks like the Void will be the one to grab the Aegis, and who's coming in for the Cheese?
Courier, probably. I mean, they also have a double stack, I believe, unless they used it very recently. No, they must have used it earlier, because they have the Courier here picking it up. Just going to be single stack from him, and ooh, look at that Courier. Refresher Void. I was pseudo-joking about it in the draft, but we're at 50 minutes. Anything goes. This is going to be double Chronos.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see the refresher on Void before we see it on Enigma. He's at 3,200 gold, so very well could be his next item of choice. But the double Chrono, will it be enough to seal the deal? Void hits pretty damn hard. And, oh boy, things are getting very interesting here, Blaze. 1 sec, says Sleesel. So these graphs are all over the place. Net worth has been bouncing up and down. Swag, both of them are kind of zeroed out at this point. And we'll move into some casual conversation as we sip our tea and wait for a moment here. Looks like some mixed feelings on the side of Swag. Bad and great. Pretty conflicting feelings.
This is Days of Our Lives. Come on, let's see some bloodbaths.
Yeah. See some good old-fashioned schmack talk. BKB, even now on the Bane. We saw how valuable that Fiend's Grip can be in that last fight where it looked like Korok might have been able to do a lot of work with his BKB on. Fiend's Grip cuts right through it. Oh, initiation now, right onto Fog. Relic hops in, uses his BKB to get off the silence. He does have a Ghost Scepter, buys himself some time. Oh my god.
Oh boy. Frank or Z. This is awkward. But anyways, we're going to go in, and it looks like Fog's dead.
Yeah, Fog. He'll go down. The split is actually used here. We'll check in on the top lane as F4L. Almost in some trouble. Tornado flies out, but he will use the Force Staff to scoot to safety. And at the end of it, it's just a solo pick onto Fogged. And it looks like that's where the rest of it will end as Navi US do retreat. So Navi US with the right idea, though. Anytime someone gets picked off or something silly happens, they just move right into the base and force some TPs back so that Swag can't easily push into the Radiant structures. Stan King almost getting caught, but will be okay. I do like that he's picked up the E-Blade, though. Pretty good against the Void. If he catches somebody like Korok or Snake King, one of your core heroes, you can throw out a friendly E-Blade, and then Void can't do anything besides look at him and wave.
Yeah, that's the entire point of Sand King's build right now, is just to make the Void's life hell. When he hits a Chronosphere on his allies, you can punish the that positioning with the Epicenter and Blink. Then he picked up the Yules. He's able to use the Void inside the Chronosphere, or use himself if he's about to be hit and can't blink out. And then finally that E-Blade, as you mentioned, just hitting it on a friendly ally. Still going to take a lot of damage from the magical outputs here and there, especially from the Ancient Apparition, but it isn't going to be breaking... it's not going to be enhancing the pure damage of the Enigma anymore. It used to enhance the damage of Midnight Pulse, but it is pure damage, and as far as I recall, Ethereal Blade is only going to be for that magical damage. So, yep, different interaction than it used to be, but all the same, just a point of frustration for that Void.
Ooh, Sleazy's walking in the danger zone here. He actually scares Korok, who blinks back to safety instead of engaging. And Stan King kind of doing something similar, but Sleazy uses his BKB, looks at him and says, yes, stun me now, you silly-looking crab. And 10-second BKB charge. Can't really say it went to waste. It did ensure the Bane's survival, but not a hell of a lot of utility coming out of that one.
So we're going to be seeing a lot of people look at FRL's item choice here and be like, what the hell are you doing, man? Picking up a Maelstrom on an Ancient Apparition seems a little funky, but FRL's a guy who looks at item progression a little bit differently than a lot of people, and in this position, there's nothing to do but push out creep waves. He's the one that's been on the defense the entire time, keeping the base alive, and if this helps him accomplish that with a little Ice Vortex, Chain Lightning, then go for it. So, yeah, it's weird, but, I mean, there's nothing else that he would really want until you look at the Refresher Orb, Double Ice Blast.
This kind of reminds me of that SEA game we were casting with Johnny's Revenge when Winter was that offlane Warlock, and he just got a random Maelstrom. And we asked him after the game, he's like, I just needed some damage. I don't know, there's really nothing else to buy. But maybe we'll hold that bit of anecdotal storytelling as, well, F4L, speak of the devil. He gets chopped down, Grant will grab that kill, and that's actually a streak ended. So they get a cute little net worth pick-me-up off that one.
Maybe stick to the base, man. That's probably where he's best in these situations. Too many blinks. He's the slow one on the map, even with the Force Staff. But we'll see Snake King rooting around with the Ghost Walk. Gonna go in, pop in the Necros, pop in the Forward Spirits, but a little more than he expected up on the high ground here. Tornadoes and Hexes immediately.
Yep, and meanwhile, in the mid, we'll see Korok use the BKB. Bloody Nine does the same. There's the black hole just on Korok. Stan King, he walks into it, but Silence from Fog will stop it. Now, there's your first Chrono. In comes Grant. Grant connects with a Ravage, and they still want this Korok. They'll have a Fiend's Grip, BKB. That'll nullify the Ravage. Korok goes down. Now Grant gets stunned up. Annihilate taking a hell of a lot of damage, loses his Aegis, doesn't have the Refresher yet. Only one Chrono is Grant on the run, and will be caught inside of the Nightmare. And looking for Fogged, he'll just TP out as he's in the tree line. Grant will get brought down, meanwhile, in the mid lane. Speaking of the lanes, up top, old Snake King's up to trickery again. He'll get interrupted as he tries to TP home, and so he'll just say, well, I'm dead. Let's do as much damage as we can to the barracks. And does a decent amount. Gets the tier 3 tower. Range Racks take some damage, and in mid, the Range Racks have fallen. So again, this is one of these situations where Swag get a good fight, a great exchange, but they're running out of structures, and they're running out quick.
Yeah. Now, Void's Chronosphere was nerfed to a cooldown of 90 seconds at level 3, so he is going to have to wait 30 more for his primary Chrono, but he has another one on top of that. As far as mana pool, it's quite limiting, but I think, yeah, they have a couple Arcane boosts. They should be able to top them off well enough to get them both and the Time Walk. But yeah, they're going in. I mean, this is the time where they can actually finally break the base off of that fight.
Done on two from the Sand King.
Have the spells.
Whoa, it's the Sand King that'll live for now, but the E-Blade expires. Down he goes. There's the buyback. Korok 50 gold short from his buyback. Glyph available for the Radiant. They'll use it now. Swag about all in on this push. They say, forget about the barracks. We're going for the win, baby. If they had buybacks, they would have used them by now, and they might well be able to grab the game off this. One tier 4 tower goes down. The second falling in a matter of seconds. Fogged, he's smoked up. Considering his options, pulls out the calculator. Beautiful stun from Stan King on 3. There's your follow-up Mystic Flare, but to what avail? Now, Grand is up. There's your Chronosphere. GG's called from Snake King. They're going to lose it. There's nothing they can do, and the zoning Chrono secures the win. His Swag turn this game around, and they will stop the momentum of Navi US, who started off 2-0 in their gauntlet tonight. Do get upset by Team Swag.
And there you have it. I won't call it a necessarily draft advantage because we obviously saw the weaknesses there in the early to mid game for Turn My Swag On, and they were really playing with fire. They could have drop down at any moment if they messed up a single fight. But they were able to hold after losing their bottom racks. They really got it together. They found the pickoffs they needed to drag the game out longer, got their BKBs, got their Aghanim Scepters, and just brought their team fight to a whole nother level. And Annihilate, he brings it home with the double refresher. Those two Chronospheres, it just makes it impossible to defend a base if you're not all ready to go in the first place. They're really, really solid play from Turmoil Swagon. Navi US, they look good in the first half. They look kind of sloppy in the second half, and maybe regretting that fact, but no matter the case, they put up a hell of a fight here. 56 minutes, game time, and Turmoil Swagon pulling quite an upset.
Yeah, absolutely. So that wraps up our coverage of Starladder. Gee, why do I keep saying this place? Starladder, it's so fresh on my mind. The Land Finals right around the corner. The Summit, too, by G2A.com. That wraps up our coverage for America today. 5 great games. If you enjoyed the cast, consider giving us a follow on the Twitter, at Sayori TV, at Blaze Casting, and, of course, at Beyond the Summit to stay up to date with all things in the studio and going on in this here tournament. You may want to stick around, though. We're going to have BTS After Hours coming up in a jiff as soon as this stream wraps up here. So thank you for joining us. You can find the VODs on YouTube, but we're done, and we'll see you later.